I'm going to create a world in this sketchbook. It's going to be based around Irish folklore, fairy tales and all that lot. Mythological creatures, magic, the whole shebang. And it's going to start in here. Right, as I draw away here in about 10 times speed as I was deciding how to do this, we can talk through about what this world building project is, where did I get my inspiration from, why you should stick around, why did I think it's interesting, and all that good stuff. So we're kicking this off not for the first time, unfortunately. I have tried this before, but I ended up in some sort of block that I couldn't seem to get past. So this is the one where we're trying to create a more logical flow after trying, because I seemed to get stuck and I couldn't commit to constantly pumping out stuff. I was like frozen in what to do next. But why am I so forceful in trying to do this world building project? Well, it was because being an Irish man myself and in growing up, I heard loads of stories of fairies, gods, magics, giants, kings, kingdoms, all this stuff, great battles, loyal pets that became super heroes essentially in the stories, lands that you'd never age, all these things, temptations of life, all these great stories told by great storytellers that are from my culture, and I want to get this across in a world building project. It doesn't seem to be a thing that has been sunken into before. Maybe books like Artemis Fowl, Game of Thrones probably took a bit from it, but I haven't seen too many in-depth world building based around Irish fairy tales, and I think they are far more interesting than what has been given to them so far. In terms of fairies, they're not the goody two-shoes that you see from the likes of Peter Pan. They are in fact a evil maniacal force in a lot of cases, and they're constantly up to mischief, and they have been used in the past as ways to make kids and adults alike do what they're told. A motorway in Ireland has been delayed previously, and the Irish government themselves went to the EU and told them we would not knock down a fairy fort for this motorway. Or maybe it was a fairy tree. Whichever it is, it was because of the fairies that we had to do this. And the stories like this around fairies are seldom told, I would imagine, to the wider world. So maybe this project will enlighten people to our mythology themselves, because the Romans, the Greeks, the Scandinavians have this rich mythology that's shared, but the Celts themselves have a rich mythology and their own versions of these gods, goddesses, which I really believe my world can contain and create a rich story. If you never heard before, I'll give an example. The giants that Ireland had. We had a warrior named Cuchulainn, and if you look up the north of Ireland, we have what's called the Giant's Causeway. This was in fact a bridge that connected the north of Ireland to Scotland in the past, according to mythology. Doubtful it happened in real life, but sure, where's the fun in not believing? In a fight, essentially, without getting too deep into it and ruining future videos, the Irish giant forced the Scottish one to stay over there, and he ripped up the bridge, leaving the remaining hexagonal pattern that is there. So pretty cool. Would be a really cool story to have that hero go through the world, or a hero in relation as all these actions are happening in that world. So this is the landmass that this is all going to happen on. We create the rivers, the mountains, the cities, but we're not going to name any of them. These are going to come with video on video. So we can build this as the catalogue of these videos grows. So it creates a nice in-depth logical pathway. Now things can be revised and we can go back and we can change other things throughout this project to make it make sense, to make it fun, to make it a rich history for as long as I can continue in this project. But with each video, the world should get more detailed, more realistic, and it will be as if you were there yourselves, which is what I'm trying to create in this channel. Another interesting part about Ireland is the beautiful scenery, and this is something I'm going to take inspiration from as I do my drawings. I myself am an avid outdoorsman, and I will take videos as I'm outside, up the mountains that I climbed, when I go diving in the sea. I tend to capture footage, and it is great inspiration for what this project will be. It is what is possible in real life, and we can make it fantastical throughout drawings, throughout sketches. And now I myself am by no means the best artist in the world, but what I would love to do is illustrate the stories and tell them as I create them, and along the way become a better storyteller, become someone who can give a rich, detailed description of what is in my head. And then the possible futures of this is, once this runs a course, is that of course we can go on to build other worlds, but I feel like that is a long way away, because what we want to do is create this Irish mythological land as deep as possible. Coming towards the end of this drawing session, we can see that I've put in the spine of the mountains, the meandering rivers with a river delta at some point, thick forests around those dots that are all cities in of themselves. As I said, we will name and create those cities as time goes on. I've put them in places that you would think cities would be, so along coastlines, along rivers. One has a nice defensive bay, one's in the middle of a dense forest, one's in the mountains. So I feel like we can create really good stories in behind these cities. And of course, towns will be popping up along the way. These dots are just the main settlements. We can tell this story very much like a traveller travelling through this land, and all they have is this map initially, and we will illustrate what these guys see. And as we create these towns along the way, there is nothing stopping dragging in your classics, dwarves, elves, all these kind of things, and putting a good spin on it, new mythological creatures, and add them to the story that we're trying to create. And there we go. That's Moraghal created. Now, to be completely honest, that's not the first time I've actually ended up creating this. We've tried previously before in a different sketchbook, and the main issue that I found was that I already named all the places, which seemed to have locked me in, and I was stuck in a bit of a rut and figuring out how to get going. I didn't even make it to page 2 of this sketchbook, which I imagine is something most people who draw can relate to, that you just end up looking at a blank page for a lot. But by the end of this session, we have come up with the landmass. I've spoke through it, the benefits of it, where could we go next, and this is now a very exciting project. So hopefully you can stick with me, and we will continue posting videos of going into the details of each of the cities that we're going to name, the rivers, the lakes, the mountains, and we can draw in more detail, because this is a very basic of what we wanted to get done. We just want to get this first video in and out, because I have been sitting on this for so long, even done a previous attempt there. So thank you for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you want to stick around, subscribe, all that jazz. You probably don't trust me yet because I've got 0 videos going. But this is a world that's all going to be based on these Irish fairy tales. If you think that's interesting and want to see what kind of depth we get into, I hope to see you again soon. Good luck.